Okay, looks like we're live. So I'm running live here on Facebook. I'm running live here on YouTube, and hopefully you can hear me now. Oh, I need to go throw a comment in there and make sure that people can see it, hear it. If you're on Facebook, it's really helpful to go out there. So I'll throw that in the chat, and please look at Facebook. Or please look at YouTube. Please check YouTube too. Boom. All right, somebody's hearing me there. Chris, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just put the YouTube one up there. All right, I'm going to assume that that's working until somebody tells me otherwise. And we're going to talk about Studio One 6.5.1, which got released yesterday. Super safe release. It's pretty, I'll go through some of that there real quick, just give you a first look at that. And there's really nothing to show, very little to show. And then we're going to talk about a super fast editing technique, which actually it comes to mind mostly because it was fixed. It had a minor, it wasn't working in some zoom levels most of the time. Nobody would have noticed this is missing. Almost nobody uses it that they should. So I'll talk about that too. So first thing, Studio One. Oh, Dale, thank you. Excellent, excellent, excellent that you're out there. So this is obviously, feed is starting both on YouTube and it's on Facebook Live. So watch, and then Facebook, no, on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hey, check out the Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, check out the YouTube group. Be sure to like and subscribe out there. It's pretty cool. And you can find things easier when it comes back to find this information later. Because most of you won't need this today, but boy, is this handy later. So first thing, version 6.5, and there are release notes. And if you look at these, this is a pretty wild release because they took 5 weeks and probably more than that behind the scenes because some things they just didn't have ready the day that 6.5 shipped. And they added some things, and they only added 3 little quote improvements where they changed the way something worked. And then I don't understand why this is called improvements here. The second one is vertical snapping, now restored, because this has worked for years. It's just that nobody uses it, but I'm going to talk to you about it so you have it in your back pocket and you can use it. And then you have a bunch of things here that have been fixed, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but here's what I guarantee you. 98% of the people that are using Studio One for voice won't even know what these things are because the fixes almost all, with one exception, 2 exceptions, have to do with things that relate to what they added in 6.5 in the Pro version, which have to do with surround sound so that you can do Atmos, you can have surround sound, you could do theater scores. I mean, things that we're not doing. Now, I predict 2 or 3 years from now when people are trying to do audio dramas, then hey, it's pretty cool to have a plane fly over and have it start behind you and go across. And you can do all this great stuff in surround, but it has nothing to do with what we're doing. Secondarily, these guys, if you look at the fixes here, you'll see many of them have to do with Linux because that's brand new and that's running in the background for the people that are doing there. Mac OS, even when you look at this, crash on right-click channel when another channel was pinned, overview is selected. None of us are doing that. No multi-channel option for certain plugins. Potential crash when dropping many chords on an instrument track. How many voiceover people have dropped a whole lot of chords on an instrument track? Nobody does that. Potential crash when loading certain picture files. Now that was an interesting one because what that has to do with, if you have a video that's invalid and it has some corruption internally or it was never written right to the spec, Studio One would choke on it. And it technically was a problem with the video, but Studio One should have handled it gracefully. And now that's been fixed so that instead of just hanging, it'll ignore it because it's bad. Little things like that. And you go through this and you go, really? None of these things apply to me. That's correct. So this is a really safe release. And I know it's only been out a day. It's already been installed on hundreds of thousands of desktops because of the music world. And I'm watching all the channels, and the feedback is quiet. It's amazingly quiet for all the little things they fixed, but they didn't. It's like, well, when things work, nobody says anything. They only complain when things don't work, and that's fine. That's exactly what happens. Now, 5 weeks ago, they had done a major upgrade, and they added all sorts of stuff for doing surround sound and things that, once again, we don't do. And most of us would never even see it's there because unless you go in and open a template that has it, you just won't see it. All right. So I'm not going to talk about all that stuff, but there was a lot of stuff that came into. In fact, I will say one little story. Normally when they put out something and it's a big release, what'll happen is, there's something they don't know about. And it's critical, and it causes people to crash, or people to not be able to get their work done. It causes complaints and things like that. So what do? They issue a hot fix about a week later, 2 weeks later. It's almost like an emergency little patch. Like you had a flat tire, and they put a little patch on it, and you're off and running until, a week later you can go and get a new tire. It allows you to work, or they put a spare tire on so that you can drive the car. It's that kind of thing. They issue a patch very quickly if a showstopper is found. I was expecting, because it was such a big release 5 weeks ago, that there was going to be 1 to 3 hot fixes that would come out a week later or a few days later, that it would be like, boom, it hits 500,000 desktops, and they discover something, and then, oh no, we've got to go ahead and issue this fix. Nope. 5 weeks, pretty close to their normal development cycle, and then they put out almost 100% tweaks, fixes, bug fixes. And there isn't any software out there that doesn't have things. Now, I'm hyper active about not installing Windows or my Mac latest operating system versions, because that'll take the machines down. The cool thing is Studio One allows you to just replace, and if you had a problem, in 10 minutes we'd have you up and running, because the file format hasn't changed at all. And in 10 minutes we can have a parallel version. You can install this version in parallel. Hyper safe to do this, highly recommended. This version, as of today, is already safer than anybody that's running any of the 6.0 releases. Guaranteed. Trust me on that. If you have a problem, you call me. Send me a direct message, I'll help you. We could have something reinstalled in 5 minutes that'll take care of any issues, but you're not going to have any. This is worth installing. Install it when you get a chance. If you're in the middle of something, hey, wait a day or 3. That doesn't hurt anything. But it's pretty incredible what they did. All right, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. One of the things they did fix, though, was something called vertical snapping now restored when dragging events to other tracks. What the heck does that mean? All right, now let me tell you what that means. This has actually worked since about version, I want to say 3. I might even be earlier than that. I'd have to go reload those up and see. What it allows you to do is every time you take a little piece of audio, I have Ripple Edit turned on, but let me do it without Ripple Edit, because it'll be easier to see what's happening here. We're going to take this little piece of audio right here, and we're going to drag it straight down to the track below. One of the things that's not obvious is that Studio One is putting that down to the thousandths of a second at the same time point as the end of the previous, this little piece of audio here. Then this one starts. They're actually down to the thousandths of a second. And if I push this up again, it puts it right back to the exact same point. Now, if I had another piece of audio and I have snap turned off and I were to drag it in, let me take this piece of audio here. And if I'm going to drag it in and I'm going to try to set it, it's really, really hard to set it down to the thousandth of a second, unless I zoom in, or I turn on snap. If I have snap turned on, it's a piece of cake. There are some ways to do this. So I'm going to say snap to events, and now I could get it down to the thousandths of a second, perfectly aligned with the other one. But if snap is turned off, almost impossible to get this exactly, and it'll depend on your zoom level. If I was zoomed out, it looks exactly like I got it. If I zoom in like this and I kind of do it, oh, that looks right. All right, then I zoom in and I realize, whoops, no, I overlapped a little. So I could, oops, look at it, I went too far that way. So without snap, it wouldn't be down to the thousandths of a second. But that with this constrained drag, then if I take any piece of audio there and I drag it down, it time aligns it down to the thousandths of a second on the new track. So this is one of the things I've done for a long time, and I just don't tell anybody about it, or I have. It's in my course. I've talked to people about it, but it's super cool if you need to do edits, and especially cool for those people that if somebody sent you a piece of audio, or you had one and you had done finger snaps, or you had done the clicker method. But if you're an editor, by the way, and you have someone send you this stuff, watch this. So here's what I do. I'm going to undo this, put this back. I'll even put those all back. Let me get them all back to where there's nothing out of this. All right, so now I have my yellow track as one complete piece of audio. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to get rid of this. This was a bad take, and I want to take it out of there. Well, one of the things I do when I want to do just really quick and dirty edits is I will take that, turn on Ripple Edit, and then drag it straight down. Now it closed up the gap. Now I can listen. I will mute this track one time. Now that's muted. Now I can go up here and double click where it is from where it isn't, and I can listen to it and say, oh, that was good. I took out too much, didn't take out enough, left some space, didn't do it. But here's the cool thing. If ripple edit is turned on and I drag it straight back up, I get it back where it was to begin with. So in other words, I dragged it down, I can listen to it. I drag it back up, I can put it back. So I can do that, and I even can come in later and put it back in the same spot. It's super cool, it's super fast, and in other words, every time I've been handed audio where somebody had extra stuff that I was supposed to take out, bad takes, rather than just take them, I can press delete and it takes it out. But then if I want to put that back, it means that it's way down. I can go get it. You can get it. It's non-destructive. All that stuff is available. But if I'm doing quick and dirty edits where I'm in a hurry, I'm trying to knock this stuff out quickly, then I'll turn on ripple edit. I will undo this. I will take them instead and have a track that's just a scrap track that's muted, and I will take out, if I wanted this out, I will take it out. I will listen by double clicking. By the way, you can do it down here too. Or if I have this feature turned on that I can double click down here and it starts playing at whatever point I'm at, and it will play until I press spacebar again or double click again. But now I could listen to it. Then I'm going to go over here to this spot, and I know that this is something I need to take out. I take that out and I keep going through. And if later, but here's the cool thing. I go over here and I take this out, and I just keep going over, and oh, this was a bad thing. So if somebody had a bunch of segments that needed to come out, by default, when you drag down, even if I go just a little bit left or right, it wants to stay right at that spot until I do it enough. And it is zoom dependent, how much I need to go side to side. It will allow me to move it side to side, but by default, it's a constrained drag. It's exactly the same time marking on the next track as it is on this track. And that's by default, and that's super smart and super cool. And the way that's like the 95% case if you want to do that. So I can now go back and listen to it. And if I wanted to put something back, the audio is right underneath where I took it out. And with another constrained drag back, it's now put that back in. So it's really super cool. You also can do copies. There's a bunch of other things you can do with that, but it's just a great, great feature. And in version 6.5.0, that was slightly broken. Depending on what zoom level you were at, sometimes you would do this constrained drag. You would drag this straight down with or without, I'm going to undo that, with or without, I'm going to turn off ripple edit and drag this straight down, and it would not have been perfectly aligned the way it is now. It was slightly off, okay? And it would actually, they fixed that. Now, if I do it and I put it back, it's down to the thousandths of a second right. And by the way, if I go down here and I move it around, you'll see it kind of snapping there. You should experiment with this. You'll feel it. It's pretty cool. And if I really wanted to have it not be exactly in that spot, then once I've let go of it one time, I now can adjust it to any place that I want, even with snap off. So even with snap off, I can get it to do the right thing of keeping it in the exact same place, turn ripple edit on, and it'll close up the gap. If I want to put it back, I can put it back. I can listen. I can audit that stuff. It means that if somebody was doing the old school, I highly recommend you using punch and roll. But if someone was using the clicker method, if someone hands you some audio and you have to edit it, and they've gone ahead and put in multiple takes, you've got all these takes to take out, highlight them, drag them to a track below, mute it, and then you can listen to it, make sure the timing's right. If you need to get something back, you can just drag it back up. Quick, you'll be amazed at what you can do. Sometimes I've accomplished things, it's like, man, and I have a whole audit trail of every single thing. Yep, I took out 16 segments. I know exactly what they are. If I wanted to listen to them, if I wanted to get a piece of them back, whoops, I took out too little, too much. The audio's all sitting there waiting for me. So it's a great audit trail, a little, I don't know. I saw someone doing something related to music that way once a few years ago. I thought, oh, that's brilliant. I'm going to steal that idea. In fact, all my good ideas have come from stealing them from other people. All right, let me look over here at the comments here. Okay, I can hear you. Chris, thank you for that. Dale. So if anyone has comments about that, I want to hear them. Anyway, great, quick way to do some edits. So I'm going to keep this one really short today. If you have a comment, if you have a question, be sure to get a hold of me. Throw something in the group. If you're on YouTube, be sure to join our Facebook groups. That's in the notes. If you're on Facebook, it's really helpful if you go over and watch this thing on YouTube or just let it run in the background. I mean, it's just really, really helpful. It's really good, but watch it, okay? And if you ever come back and you're looking for this, because you may not use this for 6 months and then something will come up and you just go, I need to, what is that? Go to YouTube and search there. It's much easier to find on YouTube. It's also in a playlist for Studio One on the YouTube channel. So that makes it easy as well. So, all right, let me check for any final things here. I need to check one thing to get my comments. And then, how do I turn on the double click? Yeah. All right, let me show that. What's interesting here. Dun, 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 dun. Chris, that's an excellent question. So Chris asked, how do you turn on double click play to work from under the track? There's an option here. I can't remember if it's here. I know it's in the full thing. And it's all called locate when clicked in empty space. Okay, locate when clicked in empty space. It's also something that I always set up in the jump start. And I got to see if it's called that in the right here. Yeah, it's actually called locate when clicked in empty space. I don't know why I was thinking it was double click when, I don't remember what it said before. It's locate when clicked in empty space. It's in the options advanced under the editing area, and it's been there for, I don't know, it was there in version 2. And what it does is I can go up in the timeline to play something by double clicking. This is a bonus. For those of you that stuck to the end, bonus, some cool, this is a great workflow thing. If I want to listen to something, I will turn this on right here. I can go up in, I'm going to turn this off. So you just see it, anytime I double click, it's the variation being the, okay? And I have a hidden track. There's got to be a hidden track that's back there playing. Watch this. So I have some tracks hidden. Variation. Yep, that's this one. I'm gonna go put that there. I'll mute it. So now I won't have anything planned, just so you can see. For if you have that turned on, if you don't have it turned on, you can always go to the timeline and double click and it starts playing. And then a single click will jump to wherever these are. Single click, single click, single click. And then if I double click, it would stop there. But I can go up in the timeline and just simply double click and it runs. Double click and it stops. But a double click, it's running. Once it's running, single click, it'll jump to where it is and keep on running. Now, I would have audio playing if I didn't have it muted. It's hard to talk over it if it's playing. But so if you turn on that other feature called locate when clicked in empty space, I believe it says, locate when clicked in empty space. Yeah, that's on. I tell everyone to turn that on and jumpstart. When you have that, then you can go to the empty space down at the bottom. And by the way, it's still running there because I didn't turn it off. So I can click here and it's still running. Normally you'd be playing audio. I wouldn't have it muted. But now you can go down here and single click down here. And that just means that's why it is super fast, because when I'm editing something and I want to take out a section here, I would have Ripple Edit turned on usually. I would do this. And then I can just double click and I can play back and I can be listening to the track that I just took something out of real quick, real easy. And then stop that. I'm almost always, I don't know why. I double click to start it. And then I press my space bar to stop it. You could double click as well, the same, and it'll move the cursor back. But I very often am double clicking. And then I go, no, that's not what I want to hear. This I want to hear. And I don't even use the looping a lot of times when I want to loop over something. It'll be a double click to start it, and then it's a single click to restart at the same point. If you leave your mouse at the same point, single point, that's a loop, without having to set up a loop. And when you're done, so I can listen to it 1 time, 3 times, 4 times. I don't have to set up a loop. I don't have to get the loop length correct. And there are some quick ways to do that as well. But I don't do any of it. I just double click, single click to listen and audit that audio. All right. So those are some quick editing tips. Studio One has such depth. It's just absolutely amazing. And most of us aren't going to know everything. And I don't. And I steal ideas from musicians. I see them doing something cool and I borrow it and pretend it's mine. All right, Chris, cool. So, and I've got I have some people. All right, Melissa, you know what? Donnie told me that some people sent me an email about the RX sale, and I forgot to go check that out. He actually told me about that. My fault. I will respond to that as soon as possible. As soon as I'm done here, I will go look at that. All right. Watch this on YouTube. Subscribe and turn on the notifications. A lot of good stuff. Next week, Sean Pratt is on the Ask Us Anything show. and Sean and Heller, both 1,000 books each. Lots of great stuff going on there. And wait till you see who we have coming on later. I mean, this is wild. So far, almost nobody has said, no, I don't want to be on. They're like, yeah, when? So we're booked up here for a while. It's pretty incredible. You guys have some good stuff coming down the pike. All right. Happy day. We'll talk to you all later. Throw comments in there. You can even throw comments in after it when it's not live. I'll see them. I'll answer them. Other people will answer them. All right. Look forward to seeing you on the wires. Talk to you later. Bye.